Hey, my friends, welcome to my good buddy Denice R from Ohio. Hey, it's our weekly time to talk about how can trauma survivors walk each other home, given the really ugly difficulties we had as children. How can we find our way now to choose and experience and actually love our lives, given we can continuously remember the unpleasant lessons that we learned and the role models that we had that said, don't live your life. Don't you don't have a right to be yourself. You've got to be the parentified adult, the little kid who has to take care of the whole family, or you've got to be the perfect child, the child that only does what the adults approve of because they can't stand the child who's being her true self. And so as we start with that, let me say that today's topic, because today's a special day, right, Denice? Do you have
Yes.
today off?
I have been off for a month and a week already right now.
Girl, we get to talk about that too. Okay, hon.
Yes.
So today in the United States of America, what are we celebrating?
Martin Luther King.
And when you think of Martin Luther King, honey bunny, what do you think of?
Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, yeah. Did he change the world?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too. What's one thing that he did that you remember that made a difference?
He was the only black person I ever saw on television. When I was a kid, I was the first time I live in Toledo, Ohio, which is racially diverse.
Hmm?
We have plenty of black people here, but that was the first time I saw a black person on television.
And when you saw him, what impression did you get?
That he was amazing. He stood strong. He looked strong. I mean, he was dressed the way that other men were dressed, I don't know, he was elevated.
Elevated is a great word. He was a man of dignity, right?
Right.
And an articulate. Oh my God. I hear from Black people that they often get this feedback like, oh, you're so articulate.
Right,
as if,
which
as
is
if
kind
the,
of
yeah,
racist in itself.
absolutely. As if the expectation is if you're this, you can't be that.
Right.
And this is, of course, still happening in
Yes, it
2024, where
is.
people say, look, you didn't expect I can talk. Um, so the thing about Martin Luther King, I hear you, is that the first times I saw him, I was so viscerally moved by his voice. He was a preacher, right?
Right.
He was a preacher man, and he knew how to use language almost like Shakespeare to get attention and to also keep attention and here was the thing that he did with me. His words went deep. His words went deep. Like for example, when he did his famous I have a dream speech, he didn't just say I have a dream once, he kept repeating it. I have a dream that one day, I have a dream. And what really touched me about that, Denice and other friends that are with us, is the fact that this man who comes from a culture where, as Langston Hughes said, the dream deferred.
Right.
What does that mean to you, Denise, when you think of the
You're
dream
not allowed to have
deferred?
a dream,
And
basically.
now, yeah, I hear you, girl. So now let's talk about that. Can and I don't want to out you, but just share whatever you wish to share as you're talking about your own experience with trauma. But um, do you believe that traumatized kids, and you worked with wonderful babies over the years? I mean, one Head Start, little genius after another. And
Exactly.
and those kids, many of them, when they're traumatized, do they still have a dream?
No, matter of fact, I'm just reviewing that same concept in my own life experience.
Ah, what's going
So,
on? Tell us.
so the day that marijuana became legal in our state, my company tested me, and I, of course, tested positive. It was a random thing. So it ended up I was off work for 4 days, suspended. Then I took vacation days for all of December, and now I'm on sick time. I'm going into treatment.
Treatment
Right.
as a trauma survivor?
Yes, I had options. See, when you're in this
What?
program, all the federal grant receivers are in this program called Drug Free Workplace.
Okay.
So they have to follow a certain procedure. So I had to go to an EAP worker at Flower Hospital down the street, employee assistance professional.
Thanks for saying what that means. Yeah. So
Right.
you went to the EAP person, and what happened next?
Yeah, that's Marcia. And Marcia, talked it over with me and asked, what I needed, what all that we went through. So at the end of that 1 hour meeting, which could have gone to 2 hours, they had 2 hours slotted, but
Okay.
we finished in 1 hour. And so she gave me three hoops to hop through. One was a online class
Okay.
about drug and alcohol addiction.
Okay.
The other one was sign up for therapy. And
Okay.
she gave me two options for therapy. One was a recovery therapy, and the
Okay.
other one was trauma therapy. See, because she listened to me.
Good.
Right. And then the third thing was my own goal really was to get a medical card for marijuana. So
Hmm.
in order to get that, I had to have a doctor's diagnosis. So I also went to the psychiatrist. So all that's passed now. Then I met with,
Congratulations. You made it through
thanks.
those three hoops. That's not a small thing. So
I
what
made
came
it.
next?
So now I went back to her and she granted me 5 weeks of sick time to get therapy.
I
Can you
love
believe it?
that.
I
I
mean, that
love
is so, to me, it's magical that that
Denise,
could happen.
when you first started as a teacher, which was what, 30 years ago, maybe?
Let's see, 89, I think, was my first Head Start class. I had my own school at home, quality home care
Okay.
before that, but I got with Head Start maybe 89.
Oh yeah. So that's over 30 years.
Right.
That's 40, right? I'd have to like
I
do it
don't
with
know.
my
It's a
fingers.
long time,
99, 109, 19.
which would have been 2009,
Yeah.
19. Yeah. So 35 years probably. And
You know what I'm go ahead, sweetie.
it's because I have 5 weeks, because I'm such I'm being sarcastic right now, irresponsible, drug addict. I had 208 hours of sick time. No, my company's really sorry. They're being very kind to me. And they don't want they're into employee retention.
Mhm. And not
They're
only
really
that,
sad.
Denise, look, I'm going to brag on you. Your evaluations have been strong, strong, strong. You
Yes,
have been given children for decades that other
yes,
people had trouble with. And
right,
you always, as a trauma survivor, had the capacity, and I love this about you, you have the capacity to help each child find her giftedness. And
right,
when that child comes into your classroom, the first thing you work on, if I get it right, is you help the child feel safe,
right.
welcomed. You're not going to let it. Nobody going to harm that baby while you're
No,
in that
no,
room.
nobody's
And
gonna hurt you, and you're not
mhm.
gonna hurt anybody.
And so Head Start, and any place you worked with know this about you. So you have a strong reputation as a teacher.
I do.
Can I
They're
ask
really
you,
sad.
they gotta be sad. The babies are sad. The teachers are sad. I understand this.
Well,
And what,
actually, Holly
yeah,
Elissa, I have been working as a coach for the last year.
yes.
So I changed out of the classroom into the coaching area, and I have not liked it, not one bit.
Why?
It's not my cup of tea.
Mhm.
Oh, if you want to know, I had IFS therapy, which is internal family systems. So there was
Mhm.
this little wild child inside of me making my knees hurt and saying, "You're never going to be able to do story time. You're never,
Yep.
I started getting physical symptoms from working in an office. When I was a little girl, I used to say, I'll never work in an office. And
Ah,
that little girl came back to me.
oh, yeah, good. And she had messages for you.
You're frozen.
I know. And I think I just got us back. So let's keep going. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, sweetie?
I can't hear you. Oh, there you
Okay.
are. You're
Okay,
moving.
great. Sweetie, what did your little girl,
Yeah,
what had she been, what besides that, like all the negative messages, what else was she waiting to tell you?
that I was supposed to be doing story time. And just like what Dr. Martin Luther King said, you have a dream, or what
Yeah,
he demonstrated is you have a dream and you need to go with it. I the I'm 65. I just turned 65 on my last birthday.
all
But my
right.
financial advisor told me I cannot retire until I'm 67, or I'm going to run out of money by 1929, or well, 2029 or something.
Actually, no, that was perfect, perfect Freudian slip because 1929 is when the crash came.
Right.
Yeah.
And I got to
Okay, so
crash.
you need to keep working. I hear you. Me too.
No, I don't.
We don't. Wait. I thought you just said you need to work for 2 more years.
That's that's what my financial advisor said. And I just joined her a couple years ago and told her I would follow whatever she said. So, okay. She said,
Okay.
I can't make it. I believed her. But come to find out now, well, so my next meeting was with Social Security
Yes.
because I had to check on my financial future. Can I quit or not?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Or
Good move. Yeah,
resign.
you got to get the data.
Right. And I don't want to give them urine. I have to give them clean urine to go back. And I've already been through it a couple times where I took fake or took a drink to cover it up. And I don't,
Yeah.
it's gross. So I went to Social Security office, sat there with my little number with all the people of Toledo. It
I
was
know what that's
beautiful.
like, right? You sit in those
I
GIF
love
chairs.
those people. It was such a good community event. And then my number came, and I went and sat with Mr. Garcia,
Uh-huh.
who is a black man who I, find that humorous that his name is Garcia, but he reminds me of my coworker, Mr. Marvin, who looks at you and says, well, what he looked at me and he said, you told me you have a condition. And Mr. Marvin would have said it the same way, so
Okay.
cute.
So Mr. Garcia said, you have a condition?
Right. Because I told him I don't feel like I'm disabled, but I have a condition. I've been diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And he goes, you apply for disability. Because if I get disability now, it's more than what I would get even if I wait another year.
Wow. No kidding.
So now I have an appointment for that. I think it's February 20th. Maybe I'm going to go on disability.
Oh, it's
And the minute
interesting.
that
Yeah, go ahead.
the minute that this happened, I started getting requests for story time from a mother's group, from a this, from a that. The universe is dropping this right all on me right now. I couldn't wait to come and talk to you about it.
I am so thrilled. Oh my God, I'm so thrilled because I want to go back to two things. One, when you said, I have a dream, I want to hear about the dream. And the second thing is, I want to hear how, as a trauma survivor, you're following this dream heals you.
Yeah, because I'm letting myself have the dream, that I can make it. I've always lived poor, you know, as a preschool lesbian preschool teacher,
Mhm.
usually specifically single. So the money is not, you know, great. I mean, Head Start is the best money I could get in my field, but so I only use half my money. So the other half is sitting in my checking account. I may have a ton of money, more money than I ever had in my life. I'm like, wow, I'm so rich. But I have an appointment with my financial advisor next month, and she might be a little wacky about it, but it
So,
happened to me.
so do you
I did
own a
not,
home, honey? Do you own a
no,
home?
no,
See,
I
now
rent a
and
room.
you're 65 years old. You don't own a home,
I rent a
and
room
you
with a
rent a room.
beautiful woman. Yeah, very nice woman,
Good. And wait a minute.
$400 a month.
I love it, sweetheart. And didn't you also buy yourself something for the summer that you could live in?
Oh yes, I have a trailer that I could travel in, right? I don't know how to
Turn
use it
around.
all the way yet. I don't know how to turn on the electricity or the water, but it does
Okay.
have both those things. Right now, it's just been parked in my brother's cottage. So I use their water and their electricity.
Yeah.
But I can figure it
Oh,
all out. Now I have time since I'm not going to work every day for 8.5 hours.
girl, this is so inspiring. And now I want to take us back to where we started so that when you bloom into this, telling us about your dream and how the dream is manifesting, people can know that you were told, and I just invite you to tell us a little bit, if you're willing to, about what you were treated like as a child and what messages you got. I think you already said some of the messages that your little girl was inside of you saying, you're not any good. You're not, all the nots,
Right,
not that you are.
right.
But can you tell us a little bit about how you survived, if you're willing to,
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
child?
Um, I'm a Virgo, which, and if you don't know astrology, we like to serve. So I just became a people pleasing server and, lived that way by serving and paying attention to other people's needs instead of my own, which was fine. I made a good living. I mean, hypervigilance is a very good skill for a preschool teacher.
You bet.
Not so good in the office, though.
Oh, good point. But no
Right,
child gets left behind, honey. You got your eyes everywhere, making sure.
right, right.
Oh my
And
God.
so some of the things that my trauma coping skills that were valuable in the classroom, like I could play in a sandbox anytime I wanted. Hello, I had purple sand. I sure did.
I bet you do, girl.
Well, we'll see what happened was when my sister was little, she used to hold her breath and pass out. So she
Yes.
got to go to a psychiatrist. And in the psychiatrist office was an indoor sandbox that she got to play into. And so I tried so hard to hold my breath and pass out because I wanted to go play with that sandbox that was inside.
Oh
She was probably
yeah.
in some kind of play therapy or I don't know what,
Yeah.
but I wanted the inside story. So ever since I got into Head Start, I've been having a happy childhood.
Yes, yes, yes. Wayne Dwyer said this thing that used to piss me off, but now I get it. He said it's never too late to have a happy childhood. And I think you're living. I think we're both living the consequences of choices that we make every day to face the sorrow, to stop pretending it didn't happen. And for me to stop pretending that I don't have traits, I've got traits up the wazoo as a result of
Right.
having been
Well, see,
traumatized.
now
Yeah.
I have to frame it as a disability. So I have to think of myself a whole different way, which is quite interesting
Yeah.
because
Talk about that.
I
Talk
want to
about that.
be, yeah, I want to be able to collect $1,568 instead of 1329, you
I
know?
hear you.
So in order to do that, I don't know, tomorrow's my first treatment.
All right.
So what my goals are with her are to write my letter of resignation, help me write that, because I want it to be really as positive as possible,
Yes.
because I
Yes.
love them.
Yes. And they love
Like,
you, girl. They love
right.
you. Yes.
But I'm not going to stop using my medicine to give them clean pee.
So let's just be really clear. For some people, especially traumatized people, one of the remedies is marijuana. And what
Yes.
does marijuana do for your traumatized system that helps you be functional? It's not helping you get high. You're not doing it to get high.
No,
You're doing it to be functional. So
to get
explain.
normal,
Yes.
which also that's what drug addicts say, that their drug makes them feel normal. So it's kind of a fishy thing.
But
Uh,
in your heart, sweetie, I know you
I
know.
am not a drug addict. I use medicine, and I use it
Yes.
when I come home from work. I don't go to work that way,
Mhm.
but because of my abuse and my trauma, I have huge anxiety and
Yes.
hypervigilance, which is beautiful for a preschool teacher. It really
Mhm.
keeps everything before anything happened bad. I already know.
Eyes in the back of your head, as my mother used to say.
Right.
How did the anxiety help or harm you in your work?
In my work, it helps because I pay attention to everything.
Okay, so the
And
hypervigilance part of it is what you're saying.
right,
Yeah,
it's really good. Plus, most of my life here with GL Cap Company, I was at an individual site. It was just me and my two coworkers, or
yeah,
three or four,
right.
and I didn't have a lot of supervision, and I could just do my thing, and it was beautiful. But the last year, we went over to join another group
I
of
remember.
another classroom, and
Mhm.
it became so I'm better without adult
Yes,
interference, kind of, if you know what I
I
mean.
hear you.
Not
I hear
supervision.
you.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I didn't really like my last year of teaching because of the people that were next door being very judgmental and, weird stuff. So that now that this last year I went to the office, which I'm
Oh,
not an
really?
office girl. Yeah, I'm
What
not an
did you do
office
in the office, girl? When you were mentoring for a
coach.
year, right? You were coaching
Yeah,
for a year,
yeah,
and then you went to the office to do what?
that's where I'm in the office, is coaching.
Okay, girl. Okay, so the bottom line here is that
I'm not an office
being
girl. That's the bottom.
I got you, girl. You are in the classroom with children, or you're anywhere with children, and that's what frees you, in my experience, and gives you joy to be yourself. So I want to
Yes.
hear now, girl. Go say.
Yes, and so now my vision, when I did started story time in Phoenix, Arizona in the year 2002, is when I first made a business of this, trying to make money at it. And but
Tell
my
us what you
goal,
do. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I sing and dance with children, and I have props with with families. Typically, I'm at a bookstore or a coffee shop. I mean, I could show you pictures, Holly, of Borders books where I had to set out 50 chairs to make a corral for the adults before
I've seen
story.
some of the pictures, and the thing that I noticed right away is that every child was engaged.
Right.
Every child, even the child who was here playing with a puppet, and the child here who's like trying to figure something else out, and a child who's
Which phone do I want?
bouncing with her
Yeah.
mom, they're all engaged. And that
Yes,
is a remarkable
it is.
capacity.
It's a
Does that,
gift, a talent of something that I can do. I can engage children and engage them, and they have fun. And the reason I've just figured out the reason why I love this work so much is last 2 weeks ago, this new mothers group came with their babies, and this little girl sat right there, and they look at me like, you get me, you know me. Like, she couldn't,
yes.
before the end of the hour, which really is 45-minute hour, that's really
Mhm.
all they can take. But uh
Yeah,
she
that's
was
a lot.
crawling to me, looking at me like, oh my God, you're the best teacher in the world, you know? I just love
It
it.
isn't about you. Start to articulate if you can. Because we're talking Fred Rogers. There was
Right,
no child that could not talk with Fred Rogers
right,
because he got them.
right.
He got them
And I
over
get them
TV.
too.
So
And
tell us about how do you do that, girl?
Fred Rogers was my best parent. I watched him on TV and he was my parent. I
Yep.
took him as the best parent, you know?
I'm so glad you had him.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't
So
know
what?
what it is. I don't know what
Okay.
it is. Like one time I was being videotaped for for our conscious discipline department to figure out
Yeah.
what it is. And this kid behind me, there were like five adults, like
Okay.
the whole Department of Special Ed over there. And I had a kid with behaviors. You know, he was sitting right here, right over my shoulder, you know? And
You
I
usually have
was
all kids with behaviors, but you just had one at this time.
right. Well, no, there were actually more in the class, but he was just the one they
Okay.
were observing. They were
Okay.
observing.
Gotcha.
So, so what happened was, I had a whole circle. We were doing a conscious discipline. What does happy say? What does sad say? Things like that. And I could just feel something happening back here, and I go, something good's about to happen. And I turned, and Kenny, well, yeah, let's call him Kenny.
Kenny.
Kenny, Kenny was about to grab a little girl's hair and pull it. But when
Mhm.
I said that, he took his hand and went like this to her instead. And I could see the video of the other people that were watching me, and they were all like, they
Oh,
couldn't believe it. I don't know how I knew that he
well,
was going to do something bad. And I don't know how that made him change his mind. I don't
what a
know.
beautiful story, but it's a true story. And this has happened over and over again with you. What I want to say, let's just hold this moment as sacred because what I hear you saying, Denice, is that those of us who were raised without love had to survive. And what's her name? Dr. Judith Herman. I love this because she says traumatized children have remarkable creative capacities so
Right.
that we're advanced in many ways and we're behind in other ways. Like it's,
Right.
I'm 78 now and I'm still reclaiming how to learn to love. I'm still learning that.
Exactly.
And at the same time, here's another study that says non-verbal emotional intelligence by being able to read non-verbal behavior in children, infants even, who are traumatized is superior. So I'm thinking, girl, you didn't see love when you were growing up. You didn't see
No,
what you're giving the kids, but you
I
must
still
have
didn't get
picked
love
up.
from my family,
Sorry, that's sad. But
but
what did you,
I'm
yeah, go.
okay. I'm okay. I still came to, Head Start program did me very well. I learned a lot. We're always in trainings, professional development. The 2 years I studied with you about trauma and being a trauma informed teacher, and or was it 3 years? I can't remember.
Oh no, girl, but it was wonderful. And what was the other thing? Um, okay, my mind went into one of those overload things, but I want to call it
Yes,
back because you um translated early on. This is the title of my book, Translating Trauma's Harsh Legacy into Healing. You learned a lot about how to act like an adult
right.
as a child. And so, in
Yeah, I
many
cared for my
ways,
siblings. I was the oldest.
right. And you cared for them. It wasn't just like, here's food.
No, I was my mom's assistant the minute, at 19 months old, I
Yep.
would run and get the diaper, run and get the bottle,
Yep.
stuff for my siblings that came after.
And if you hadn't done that, what would have happened?
I don't know.
What would have happened to you? And what do you think might have happened to them without that help?
We were neglected. We would have been worse neglected, I guess, but I
Yeah.
just figured out how, I parentified.
Mhm. I hear you, and you're talking for all survivors. I mean, I learned and knew almost from birth, I'm convinced, that my mother was sick and she was psychotic. I didn't have any idea what that meant, but she was sick and she couldn't be a mother. And I got the message from my father that it was my job to take care of her. So I was her social worker, her art therapist, her teacher, her psychiatrist, her play therapist, all of those things that I learned because I had to. And yet they help me every day. They help me
Right.
every day. So you, just so people can be clear, yeah, you're being with children and giving children what you didn't get, but it's not a, let me see if I can articulate this and maybe you can help me. It's not like I'm giving back what I never got. It's like when I say it, how is
I'm
it?
getting it. I'm getting it by giving it, you know. When
Yes.
I am kind to you, when I notice your
Yes.
goodness, I'm noticing my own goodness.
Yes.
And that's really and other teachers are noticing, oh, there's something good happening here.
Something good is going to happen.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. What happened with other teachers when they noticed that? Could
Uh,
some of them take it and some couldn't?
no, well, it depends. Like the woman next door to me, my last year, she could not stand that I had a different way of doing things than her. And so she was very critical, but not directly, because I could have explained anything, you know, but she was talking to everybody else. And it kind of psychically, this is one of a weakness that I have, that psychically, there's a psychic vulture around, you know, and I can feel that and I get a little drained. But
Can you locate that back to your trauma?
yes, and I'm better at now protecting myself because I was just
Mhm.
open, you know, I had a abuse me on my forehead.
Girl, I used to feel like when I would go back to the family home, which is a pleasant way of saying the torture place that I was raised in
Right.
because it was crazy. It was bedlam. I felt as if I had sockets to, that my family could plug into. I'd go back and I'd have my energy intact. I'd go
Right.
back telling myself intellectually, notice it's a different thing than telling
It
myself and
is.
feeling it viscerally, but I'd go back intellectually and say, I'm going back to do research here. I'm a research scientist right now. I'm going to find out all I can about
Right.
how this family sees itself, functions, explains itself, deals with troubles. And it would take me about, I don't know how long, not very long before the plugs would start sticking into me and I would
Right.
start draining my adult energy and return to the victimized child energy. And that was so hard. So
Right.
you're getting better at that. I'm getting better at that. What's
Yeah.
helping you get better? What's like one thing you do?
Well, I do yoga and you
And what
know,
does that do
I've
for you?
increased it a lot since I've been off work. I got time to do
Yeah,
all the good things, you know. I eat
good.
vegetables and fruits. I clean my room every day.
Good.
I don't know. I just take care of myself.
That is just so good. And that's something that you didn't learn
You're
as a
frozen.
survivor. Mm,
We
I'm
got bad
hooking back.
weather right now. It makes
Okay. Did I come back yet?
I heard
Or
one.
we're coming. All
There
right,
you
we're
are.
coming back. Yeah, the internet is unstable here, so we'll just keep going.
Yeah.
Girl, I want to hear from you. Tell me why you didn't give up.
I've always had faith. I went to Catholic schools when I was a child. I was a very poor student, but I was very good at copying. So once they realized I wasn't a good reader or that I was, you know, cheating in reading SRA, we could just go get the answers.
Mhm.
I became the banner maker because I can copy. Real, I have a really good copy skills. So I would
Yeah.
make the banners out of felt. You know, the kids would, the
Yes.
altar boys would carry them.
Yes.
Peace on earth, or you know, all those things. Whatever we are, Mary's holy, whatever. I could make those really good. So I was in the teacher's lounge most of the time, cutting out letters. And that's when teachers could smoke and drink coffee in there. And it was awesome. But I don't know. I just always made my own way.
So you made it through high school that way, right?
Yeah, my sophomore English teacher realized that I was not a non-reader. I was a non-reader
Yep.
basically. And she put me in special reading, which was Evelyn Wood's speed reading class on a
Oh God,
microfiche machine.
did
It
that
worked.
help? Did it
It
really?
did. It worked.
Evelyn, go girl. Oh, I'm
I,
glad. So what a boy. Did you feel really different once you had that capacity?
yeah, but I still don't read for pleasure. Like
Yeah,
I don't
I
read books.
understand.
My friends, I went to their book signing yesterday and I was like, please don't ask me if I read the book. Just don't ask me because I didn't read it. I bought it,
I got
to
it. I
support
got it.
them.
I understand. I understand.
Right. I'm
Well, girl,
still pretty much a non-reader.
and look, you read to children what you're
I
doing.
know, isn't it the weirdest thing? And it's all books and but
Tell us
I don't
about
know.
tell us about what you do. Tell us about the story. Are you created it when you were in Phoenix?
I actually created it in San Diego, Grove Orange Grove Head Start. We had two colleges. Well, actually, we had three colleges that like University of Southern California, a couple, and it
Okay.
was professors coming and doing studies and professional development and stuff. Literacy was one of our topics. So they would come and work with us. We had an hour break in between our two sessions, and
Okay.
they were all Spanish speaking, all the teachers. I learned to listen and understand Spanish there,
Yeah,
but
good.
it was
Mm,
really cool. But we had an hour break. And so it was optional if you wanted to get together for study groups or whatever.
okay.
So we'd eat and have study groups. And these professors, and I don't know what they all were, but they would come and give us advice and, watch us and say what's good, stuff like that. And so I developed it under their tutelage, so that it was special ed savvy. So every visual child had something to look at, every auditory child had something to hear, every intuitive child just knew, and every, what's the other one? Tactile had something to play with.
Yeah, a
So,
kinesthetic child.
right. So we did,
Good move.
they just helped me make
Yeah.
each song that way. And so now I have a CD with 26 songs on it. Most of them are Greg and Steve. And, I can't play them on Facebook because I'll be muted. But I, I'm thinking I should probably get with somebody to make my own songs so that I
Yes.
could do it more freely. Right now, I have to do it like in a coffee shop if they have a license to
Oh
play
yeah.
other people's music. That's the way I'm
That's
getting away with it. Yeah.
that's tough. I have a person to recommend to you who does music and has that capacity. So yeah.
Yeah, I
I'll
think
tell you
that's one
about
of my next steps in my
yeah.
development of story time because my dream is to do story time every day and, sit
Okay.
there with the children and their
Tell
parents.
us
And
what story time is. What is
so
it to
story
somebody that
time is
has never been there?
right. So it goes like this: story time, story time. Let's get together for story time. And already we've been on the carpet. Well, I have a rubber floor,
Okay.
it's kind of cushy,
Yeah.
that which I put out. It's a puzzle. They're squares, and we've been playing with these little chevron cars. They all have faces and expressions and stories. And I got a whole box. The box that teachers bring their papers in, their files. I got that full of chevron cars, and so we just sit around and roll them and talk, and they get used to me. You know, they realize who I am and what I
So
have to
that's how you
say.
create the safe space, which is the
Safe
first thing
space. Right. And respect.
traumatized kids need. Oh,
Right.
you
And
got it.
respect.
Hand in hand. Say more about
Yeah.
that. Say hand in hand with safety is respect.
Right. And like I respect if you're going to be shy, okay. I worked with shy kids before and I know that you're going to be okay here. And I'll push them a card. What's your favorite color? By the end of it, they love me. And like so many moms tell me, you're the first person she ever opened up to. You
Ah,
have a special way. So I'm doing it because it's my gift. And I believe I'm to the point in my life that I need to do what I need to do and not go back to that office.
And
So
what
that's
was
story
Dad?
time. I do 26
So,
songs. Monkeys jumping on the bed. Five little ducks came out one day. Old MacDonald had a farm. Open, shut them. Very typical
uh-huh.
preschool songs that
Wait,
everybody,
wait, wait. Sing monkeys jumping on a farm. I don't know that one.
no, 10 little monkeys jumping on the bed. One fell
Okay.
off and bumped his head.
Okay. Good, good,
Mama
good.
called the
Okay.
doctor. And I have a basket full of telephones, which it's like the history of telephones. I have like the old telephones and new telephones, and the kids, most of them want to, look at the telephones and touch the
Yeah.
telephones. And you
Yeah.
can also then introduce 911 if you're in a group and you're trying to teach preschoolers the concept. I always use those for 911 too.
Oh,
Stop,
what a
drop, and
good
roll.
move. Girl, tell me, because I feel like your story time has a ripple effect. First, it's your relationship with the children and each child.
Right.
Then it's the group of children as they come together. Now, how do you work with a group? Because I know that's key. And the third thing is around the circle are the parents.
The
So I want
parents,
to
right.
hear about how are you engaging, including, and reading all these three things: the
Okay, so
individual child, the group.
I accept the parents exactly as they are. There's always one young woman who has doesn't get to talk to anybody ever. So she's got to come and talk with her friend. Like she'll talk, talk, talk.
Okay.
Sometimes too much, sometimes too loud. And I have to say, okay, this is for the kids. Remember, this is for the kids.
Okay. Good.
But there's always one person like that. And
Mhm.
most of them I have found out, well, most of them this year, because I just restarted it up last February after COVID.
Okay.
So at first it was all my old coworkers. Now they have grandkids and
Ah,
they were bringing their grandkids.
I love
Uh-huh.
it.
That
All
was how
right.
it's, and then,
Oh my
but
God.
yeah. And, a lot of teachers, a lot of people had kids coming to my story time at the coffee shop before COVID. And then when they saw me post that I'm doing it again, they brought their new kids.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
woman had four more children since I saw her. I was like, oh, I couldn't believe it.
God
And her,
bless you, girl.
the
Hey, tell me,
oldest,
what are you reading about the parents? Because the parents, this got to be a meaningful thing to them. They're safe.
it
They can
is,
trust their children with you. They
are
know their
safe.
children are like really engaged, whether the child is like 3 months or, like 3 years. What goes on with the parents? I hear you. They do what they need to do. Like one woman just
Right.
talks away because that's what she needs. And you
She
didn't
needs it.
shame her. You didn't
No,
shame
I'm
her.
okay
You
with
just said,
that. I'm just, yeah,
this is for kids. Remember, this is for kids. It's you didn't say, would you shut up? Like
right.
we might have heard as children. You said,
Or
hey,
shh, shh,
right,
shh.
hush, hush, right.
I
No,
don't do that. I ain't
I
doing
know I'm
that.
in trouble if I start feeling like doing
Right.
that.
Right. I got to go.
So tell me about the parents, honey. What
A
other
lot more
ways do they?
dads come now. It's
Oh,
increased immensely in the father participation, which is really cool.
what's that
From
about, do you
Phoenix
think?
to Toledo, parent fathers are more interested now. I mean,
Okay.
they and the mothers are making them too. The moms are
Okay,
like, "You're
that's
going to
true.
story time with us."
What do you
That's
think
what
would
I've
help a
observed.
father be comfortable with you when a lot of fathers aren't comfortable with early childhood
Um,
professions?
well, because I don't demand that they sit down with their child, because the fathers like to sit back and
Hmm.
watch their kid
Or stand back. Yeah.
or stand back. Right. The moms are usually right around the edge of the floor.
Yep.
They want to be participating.
Yep.
So, but
So you
there's the
create a space, safe space where the dads can be there, the grandparents can be there, the
grandparents
uncles
can
and
come.
aunties. I love
Right. My
that.
old classmates from Central Catholic High School bringing their grandkids. It's so
I love
fun.
it.
And so
Okay.
what
So
happened? Remember when I
yeah,
went and took the coach job
I do.
a year ago? I kind of in my head, and maybe there's some psychological situation, but I said, Teacher Denise is dead. And, there's no
Oh,
more Teacher Denise. And everybody was telling me, no, no, that can't be so. But I kind of did that, I don't know, to take the coach job, to be Coach
Wow. So
Denice instead.
did you
And
have to feel, what did that feel like? Because so
I
much of
hear
you is
frozen
that
a little bit.
we're back, honey. What I want to ask you is this, in my recovery, from trauma, I have worked on being as gentle and kind to myself as I can. So what I heard you say is what you had to say, what you needed to say to be able to let go. Were you saying that? What were you saying with that? Do you have a sense of like, were you saying goodbye? Were you grieving? Were you?
I, I was just trying, I don't know. I think I was just stirring up my inside little child to tell me, you're supposed to do story time. Yeah. I mean, in this type of therapy called IFS, you have like a
Yes, and
manager.
that stands for internal family systems,
Right.
right?
So
And
I
it's
wasn't
done.
that cooperative with the woman that worked on me with that. I
Okay.
really wanted to talk to her. So I didn't learn all the specific things. But what I did learn was having an inner voice is not multi-personality disorder.
Yes.
And that's what I needed to learn from her. Right.
Yes. Yes.
And
Notice what you're doing right now. You're doing what trauma survivors do so well. We pay attention to what we need to learn.
right,
It's like your inner voice told you, okay, I'm not going to get this from her, but that's okay because I'm going to get this from her. And
right,
like what that old saying about when the student's ready, the teacher appears.
right,
And so you look at what you just said. I learned internal family systems, not to study what, blah, blah, blah. No, but to study that these voices, and in many cases, like the voices of different children. Maybe I have a teenage voice. Maybe I got
right.
a,
Yeah, I actually have pictures of them back here in my
ah,
window because I like to do
oh,
art with my work too,
yeah, yeah. So what did
yeah,
you do back there? You
that's my
did,
teenager right there. You
okay.
can't see her too good, but she's like
Mm-hmm.
really
With good
the
reason.
anger, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then who's the other little one that's beneath that?
There's a little one up here that's the a little girl betrayed. Uh, this one is in a partnership uh, thing, and this one's a little tap dancer. My little tap dancer
Ah,
doll.
the
And
freedom fund.
this one is I am receiving. I am healing. I have the right materials. That's
I
her.
love that. And you've got more pains to fill in.
Yes, I do. New
See,
pains.
look what you're doing. You're using art, your own form of artistic expression
Right.
to reclaim your soul.
Yep.
So tell us when things are the way you want them to be with story time, what's it going to look like? Tell me the
I'm
vision.
gonna. I really want to work with which this is another thing. This coach job was not for me. It's an office job, following up on papers. My least favorite part. So but the goodness was I found out about family childcare places where
Ah,
they do family childcare. These are old, in my town, this is a lot of old Black women who have been doing
oh,
childcare in their home for 30 years, and
oh,
they don't
wow.
want Head Start coming in and telling them what to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I would go in and try to tell them, how to improve or how to bump things
Uh-huh.
up or whatever. And some of it is not culturally appropriate, in my opinion.
Right.
Like that's their culture.
Yeah, honey. Build
And
on it.
so these are the things that bothered me about the coaching.
What's one
But
example of that, sweetie? Because I hear you.
I don't know if I could really find a specific example. You know, one thing that I notice is that the Black culture of women, older women my age, they want to make sure they're preparing children for a cruel world that,
Mm-hmm.
and they need to have their academics. That's the only thing. And then in my culture, I'm preparing children to make a better world in my mind. But that's because I grew up privileged.
I hear you.
So I had that internal struggle about trying to do that with the coaching. But the positive thing, because I can always find that,
Yes.
is I learned about family childcare and I can sell them story time for, $30 an hour every other week. And they got the money for that.
Yeah, they do. And that's so good. And it gives them a break and they
And
can
no, they
have
can
fun.
watch this. They can document for TSG because we're on the star system,
Yes, that's
five
right.
stars in Ohio. And if you are a star, you have to document so many documents per week on the child's development, which it's really hard to both facilitate a learning experience or even
Yeah.
play. It's hard
Yeah.
to, and take notes. So while I'm there, they can take notes on
Oh,
every single, what do you call them? Not goals, but like TSG, every single objective, every single sub objective or whatever. They can
tell us
take
what
notes.
TSG means just for people that don't know.
Teaching strategies gold. It's a way to
Yes.
document children's development. It's a
Right.
good way.
It works with many kids, most kids.
Yes.
And also, it drives people crazy. I'm doing a presentation in Texas in a few days about the three main legal skills a person working in early childhood needs to know. And the third one of those, after due process and um, equitable decision making, is documentation because it's essential. But most of us who are with the children can't stand it. I
Right.
mean, could you like documentation?
I didn't. Well, I did. There were certain parts I did. See, I always could find something I like about everything. I'm really good at that.
Like a
So,
survivor. Yes.
right. So what I didn't like was writing notes. Like one time in 2000, these when George Bush became in charge of the money, one day all these like three women came in with these almost they looked like blue blazers and a blue skirts and blue shoes and a little briefcase, and they came in and they looked at my files, and I had plenty of documentation on sticky notes, but it was not where it was supposed to be. It was just like notebooks of documentation, unsorted. So they made me stop, and that's what I would do. I just so they made me stop. They took me out of the classroom for 3 days. I had to sort all that. It was horrible. Well, it
Oh
was
my
good
God.
too.
Oh
But
my God.
the point is, yes, I don't enjoy that. That's not my favorite part. But once with TSG, Teaching Strategies Gold, you can go on your phone, hit a little door, and take a picture of what the child's doing, and then it made it all so much better. You just type their name, it takes it to their file. So I didn't mind. I
And then
liked it.
you have to document how this fits in
What
with a
objectives it
goal.
needs, right? Which
Okay,
goal
right.
it needs to join with the goal, what objective, what level they are, what comes next. And
But at
if
least
they're
you've got it right there. I hear you,
right,
girl. So listen, in our remaining 4 minutes, this is just the beginning of a lot of conversations, but I want to know, tell us what it will look like, what your life will look like when you at last not only have a dream, but the dream comes true.
right. So then this is it. Because I already am going to have, if I get disability, I'll have plenty of money. So I don't have to overdo it. I don't have to rush around and get three for every day of the week. I can just take them as they present themselves to me or as I go out and search. And it's going to be really a calm pace. I'm going to wake up, drink my coffee out of a coffee cup, not a travel mug,
All right, girl. Yeah.
do yoga, and then go to somebody's house, carry my kit. I made my kit. Well, I haven't made it yet, but I created a smaller kit of props
Okay. Okay.
so that I can carry it up to their door because they're in houses.
Yes.
In a coffee shop, I just drag it up the
Right.
handicap, and I have a huge container, but I made it smaller. So I got my little small box. I bring it in the house. I sit down and give the children cards and say 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes till story time, 4, 3, and then we start story time. It's about a 40-minute engagement. with the props and cleaning up, props, cleaning up, props, cleaning up. And I want the teachers back there writing their notes, giving
Taking their
value to the
pictures.
owner, taking their pictures, right. And then, because in family childcare, they keep the same children for like 3 years.
Yes,
In typical childcare and center-based childcare, they're with a teacher for a year at the most, if they're lucky, if that teacher stays.
right. Unless the program believes in intergenerational care, which is a strong minority. It's not a
Right,
huge. Yeah.
right.
Okay.
So
So
this is
you,
the best. I'll be with the same kids week after week, and that's how it looks. Then I come home, take a nap, and then at night I pursue my other interests
which is
because
what's going on now,
before,
girl. Yes, you didn't
yeah,
have time.
I didn't have time or energy because I was too fully engaged with my classroom
I hear
or
you.
with this coaching. I was just unhappy. I got pretty robust too.
I hear you.
Whoops, you're frozen.
Yep, I'm signing in again. It'll come back.
So I'm so glad we got to talk this time.
Sweetie, yeah, don't quit because I want to hear about what you're going to do in the evening, honey. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I want the world to
I think
know.
it's time to,
It's coming back, right? Coming back, girl? We're back. Sweetie, what are you going to do at night? Because this is something you've not been able to ever do.
well, the woman at Bigby's Coffee, where I started my new story time, she wants me to do tarot readings in the corner
What
once a week.
fun. What fun. So you can play with adults.
Right. And do spiritual, work.
That's it. The spiritual connecting with adults to help them find their way. Which is
Right. Or
what
to
you're doing
just give
with
them an
children.
idea. Yeah.
Girl,
To,
you're right. We're at the end of time. I want to ask you this, and there's no expectation. There's nothing. I just want to ask you. I love you too, girl. I just want to ask, what is one precious lesson you have learned as a trauma survivor that helps you thrive rather than go down the tube of depression?
well, that there's always somebody who really sees you. There's always somebody that really, and that support. That's because I am a people pleaser. So I really rely on that feedback. And there's always somebody.
And I might add, um, I've just been doing a lot of work on people pleasing, and people pleasing to me might be different than to you, but to me, it's like not feeling I have anything going on that's good inside of me, but I have to please the person who might punish me or hurt me.
Right.
And what I hear you saying is it's not pleasing people so much as much as connecting. I think
Right.
you're a people connector. I think you're a baby connector.
Right.
I think you're an adult connector, and I think that's your strength. And do you think that came in part from being a trauma survivor?
Totally.
Totally. I got you, girl.
Yeah.
Listen, let's talk again. This
Yeah.
might mean
Next week.
you're coming back. All right, love you, girl.
Because
Hey,
I'm
everybody,
off
thanks
work.
for joining us. Yay! And other girl, here's something else. I see you as otherwise able.
I am
Otherwise.
otherwise able, but I do have to figure out how to frame that in order to qualify. So,
I hear you. I hear you.
but I'll
Well,
use the therapist tomorrow. Yeah.
oh yeah, I know you will because you're smart about what you have to do. All right, girl.
Resourceful.